There you go.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming this evening. Tonight, we have a guest speaker by the name of Niki Robinson. Niki is an actual graduate of Brown College. We were just discussing, I thought it was just a few years ago, but Niki had actually graduated back in 2014, and she is an official in Harrison County. And so, and I would say this is how the industry is changing. That now, and that's a testament to how good she was as a student, as a court reporter. She graduated, went right into the officialship, which is great. But you guys are hearing from a recent grad. She's going to tell you about her story and how she got out and what she's doing and all her experiences and things like that. So this is really good. She was supposed to be joined by another grad by the name of Paige Huston. I'll let her tell you. But unfortunately, Paige couldn't be here tonight. There's an interesting story behind that, but that is the industry. Unfortunately, that sometimes you're out there, you're trying to do it, and you can't break away. But I'll let I'll let Niki tell you guys a little bit more about that. So without further ado,
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Thank you. So as Mark said, my name is Niki. I work for a Superior Court judge in the Tallapoosa Judicial Circuit, which covers Harrelson and Polk County. And I'm sure none of you have ever heard of Harrelson or Polk County. Yeah. 60 miles west on I-20, exit 11. And then if you go up exit 11, another 20 minutes, you get to Polk County. So it's quite rural. I'm from that area. And I just had as Mark said, I was really blessed. As soon as I finished school, actually, before I was done, we had a Superior Court judge running for election, or an attorney running. We had a Superior Court judge open up. So he ran. His name is Ming H. Lim, L-I-M. Look him up. He has a really cool story. He's the first Asian, Asian American elected in the state of Georgia, ever. He's from Cambodia. He's a refugee, so I guess you wouldn't really be Asian American. He's Asian. Anyway, cool story. He was in the AJC. Really cool. Anyway, he and being from a small county, small area, he won, and I ran into his assistant in the dollar store as I was finishing up school, and I said, hey, I'm about to be done with school, and if he needs any help with depot work or anything, just let me know. And she's like, okay, cool. Well, then he won the election. I guess I should have backed that up. He was still practicing at that time. And then he won the election. And he reached out to me and said, can you come interview? So I did, and I got the job. So I actually had a job prior to graduating school. Well, finishing school in December. So that was in September, and then in December I finished school. January I hit the door running. And fresh out of school, I was a freshie. And I will tell you, just act like you know what you're doing, and everybody thinks you do. I was terrified. I would get into court and be like, when's the real court reporter going to show up? I got great training. Don't get me wrong. My theory was great. But, there's a lot of things you don't learn. Like with any job, there's a lot of on-the-job training. I surrounded myself with some other court reporters and just ask a lot of questions of them and that sort of thing, and I made it through. And I feel like that my learning curve that first year was straight up. Everything new. And, as you know, court is different than depositions, and court work, criminal, is different than civil. Not only are they, and it's also different if you're freelancing or if you're an official. All those things are different, the way you bill, everything. It's all different. So I learned all that, and so I didn't do any depositions the first year, maybe year and a half that I was employed, because I wanted to get my job going well, right? So then I started doing some depots. I was terrified the first time I did a deposition, scared out of my mind, but that worked out well, and now I'm going into my my 5th year. My judge was just reelected, so I'm good for another 4 years. A little job security there, yay! And I love it. I will tell you, this was the greatest decision I ever made in my life, ever. Back when Brown used to be over on Collier Road, even before the location you were at when I was at school there, you guys had another location up the street. And so that would have been, I don't know, 15 years ago, I guess, maybe maybe 10, something like that. I wanted to go to school then, but my children were much smaller, and I lived way out. And I just knew that commuting was not going to be feasible for me. And so we fast forward a few years later, in 2013, and the company that I was working for, we were sold, and I was without a job, and I had unemployment and a severance package. And I said, all right, I'm going to court reporting school. So I did. Started in the summer of 2013. I was going to be a stenographer. Cool, no problem. They didn't have any steno classes starting till the fall, so I did some just like prerequisite stuff that summer. Other classes I had to take, I think, terminology, some other things. And then I started steno in the fall. Nothing wrong with steno. 6 weeks in, it wasn't for me. I couldn't get it. My brain was like, I can't do this. I don't like it. I hated it. So I immediately switched to voice, and I never looked back. Greatest decision I ever made. And my whole thing about that was, I was bummed at first because I'm like this major overachiever, and I thought, oh my God, here's something I can't do. But then I realized it's not about whether I'm a voice writer or a stenographer. I'm a court reporter. Because when you go to court and you go to a depot, they don't say, oh, the stenographer's here or the voice writer's here. They go, the court reporter's here. That's all that mattered to me, is to be the best court reporter that I could be. So that was always my goal, to just do it well. Got out of school, started working, and I love it every single day. Every single day I go to work and I love it. It's like the greatest decision I ever made. I got a great foundation here at school. Being on the job, you learn a lot. It was, and really every day, even now, every day there's something new. Every day there's a new case. There's something we've not seen before. Every day is a new day. And I can honestly say I go to work and I love my job. It's just fabulous. So does anyone have any questions, or is there anything you want to know? This is really informal. I mean, really, any question you have is not dumb. It's not stupid. Just ask it, because I'll answer it. Now Paige is a freelancer. Oh, I'm sorry, Paige isn't here because Paige is stuck in a jury trial awaiting a verdict. That's why she's not here. Or she would be here. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
So if you work for a judge, you pretty much work the hours that a judge works according to the...
I do. Let me tell you the beautiful thing about my circuit. It's fabulous. So we're teeny tiny. And I am only in court, like today. Okay, so on Mondays and Tuesdays, we are in Polk County. Monday's criminal, Tuesday is civil. Every other Wednesday, we are in Haralson County. And we do criminal and civil together because it's small. My circuit is one of the few circuits left that if I don't have court, I don't have to be there. I don't work an 8 to 5, 9 to 5. When I'm done, I go home. We're tiny. They don't want to have to pay me for an office and all my equipment and all that kind of stuff. And it works well with me because I also freelance. So when I'm not in court, I'm out freelancing. I'm doing depositions. I'm working in other courts. Like there's a, if you guys, some of you may have heard of Carroll County. Okay. I'm often in Carroll State Court. I'll go to Douglas County. I don't like to go to Cobb. It's really hard to get to from my house. I love Decatur, love DeKalb. I go to DeKalb, love going there. I go and do my thing, go home. Easy peasy. Love it, love it, love it. So that's what I do. So I'm really blessed. So to answer your question, I'm really, unless we have jury trials, I'm probably not in court 12 hours a week, maybe. And I have a salary, so they pay me a salary for that. And they split it between the two counties. But when we have jury trial week can either be we get it all done on Monday and we're done, or we go till Friday, like this past week. And my judge is a bit of a taskmaster. He runs a tight ship. We get stuff done, but it's a lot of work. So we have something called a recall calendar on usually for us the Thursday before trial start on Monday, where everyone comes in, and if you want to plead your case, today's the day to do it. Because past Thursday on into Monday, your plea is no longer a negotiated plea, which means the judge can sentence you as he wishes. The state can make a recommendation. He does not have to honor it. You were throwing yourself at the mercy of the court. We had 250 cases on our trial calendar. We disposed of about 220 of those, and the ones that we couldn't were for other various reasons, so they moved to our March trial calendar. We moved 230 cases. I almost died. I did 3 jury trials, 1 bench trial in 5 days. So I worked an awful lot last week, and I had a transcript due. But it was a trial that had to be done because we have a hearing on Wednesday about it. So on top of working from 8:30 to 5, I'm also going home after I get home and working on a transcript to get it out. So The flexibility is incredible with this job. Even if you work as an official for someone and you're required to be there from 8 to 5, I still think there's a lot of flexibility. A lot of times they'll want you to, I think the industry is changing a bit, and they'll just ask you to come in like on a per diem, right? So you don't necessarily have a salary, but there's just so much flexibility if you freelance with this profession. I love that. Go ahead.
Without telling your salary, what's the minimum you would have accepted going into the courtroom?
Well, being that I didn't know anything, and it was literally, the Haralson County Courthouse is literally across the street from my house. It's from here to there. And Cedartown is 20 minutes up the road. The salary was okay, but the transcripts is where you make it up. So it's salary plus transcripts. So the salary was a base rate. It wasn't great. It was okay. But then on top of the transcripts was about another half of that. Like, so it was like 1.5, right? So whatever my salary was, then another half of that is what the transcripts made up. And I know you guys want to talk about money, and I do not mind telling you. My income, since I started court reporting, I was surprised actually when I added it all up. And I didn't even, so I added up all my W-2s plus all my 1099s, where I had worked for different agencies and all this other stuff in different counties, and I added it up. And then there were some attorneys that didn't 1099 me. I doubled my income from 3 years ago, and I made an additional $25,000 last year. And I don't mind telling you that I'm on target, and my goal, and you can do this, my goal is to make between $100,000 and $115,000 this year. And that is entirely achievable. Y'all, I didn't even work over the summer. Hardly any. We don't have, because we don't have court a lot in the summer, and I was lazy and I didn't want to. So we have court very little in the summer generally, and so that's not like I'm working 5 days a week. Judges go on vacation too. DAs don't want to work. Public defenders don't want to, or at least maybe that's just in my circuit, I don't know. So everybody's a little more laid back. Like Christmas, the last day of court for Christmas is like December 15th or 16th. We don't go back to court till January 5th, so that's like 3 weeks off, right? I can freelance during that time. I can do other things, but my point being, you can't look at it like a regular 9 to 5, I work these amount of days. I will tell you guys, for every hour you're in court for takedown, that's at least 2 hours of work at home to start with, So just because I'm not working at my job, I'm at home. And I'm usually in sweats and, my pajamas actually, in this horrible, disgusting pink robe that I love, and my fuzzy socks, and my hair on, pulled up, and I look like a mad woman, because I'll just work for days, right? Glued to the computer just working. So, so the money's there. You will, in freelance, I will tell you something else. I don't know if you've heard this or if anyone's told you. Imagine your income as a pipeline, and you have to start filling that pipeline and stacking it, right? So you're going to have a gap. You're going to have a gap of income when you first start out, but then it's going to start rolling, and you have to keep that pipeline filled. And because I didn't work this summer, my pipeline got a little low. So I had to sort of, work really harder in the fall to make up for it. This profession, in my opinion, and what has been my experience, the more you work, the more you make. So it's up to you as to what you want to make. And there's a huge shortage of court reporters. We need you. Like, I'm going to be out April 22nd. I have no coverage as of this moment. None. I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I'm supposed to be out of the country, so I'm praying someone helps. Yes, ma'am.
What's the attire that you require as a court reporter for your judge?
Dress. Work. For me, I like to wear dresses, generally because it's one-stop dressing. It's really easy. I will tell you, courtrooms are freezing, so take that into consideration. Even in the summer, generally they're always freezing, and you want to be. I'm always usually with dresses. So my legs are cold, but wear a jacket or whatever. But I like dresses and I wear heels. A lot of court reporters don't, and that's okay. I just think it's a personal preference, and I just like to dress for work. That's me. So I'm short. I like my 4-inch heels. Makes me feel tall.
So are they picky if you wear dresses?
No. Oh gosh, no. That's yes. No, absolutely not. Black dress pants, the top. The beautiful thing about freelance is that, and I have done this, You can wear the same outfit 3 days in a row and nobody knows that you wore the same outfit 3 days in a row because you're in different places. It gets a little awkward when you run into the same attorneys, but who remembers what everybody wears? You don't remember. So that's the good thing about freelance. You just recycle the same outfit, and I've done that, actually. Like a week, I wear the same outfit. So, yes, ma'am.
Is there ever a time where it's just too much, that you've taken on too much, you've overpromised?
Yes, be very careful with that. Yes, be realistic. Be very realistic in how you, what you promise, especially starting out. Perfect example, like I said, I was in jury trial this past week, and I had that one trial that had to be out, and I knew that I could do it, and I didn't really have a choice, honestly. But I got it done. But I also, in the meantime, had a couple of other people email me, they need this, and I'm very realistic and tell them where I'm at. I'm like, you're going to get it in 2 weeks, you're going to get it in 3 weeks. If you need it sooner, I need to know, and that's when I usually will enlist the help of a scopist or whatever. I do have a proofer that I use. I use a proofer on everything I send out except for pleas, because those are rote. Those are just so easy. You know, but anything else that goes out, I use a proofer. And I have a theory: you need to work smarter, not harder. You know, starting out, you're not going to have the money to have you know, your team, right? And it does take time to find people to help you with this, to do the stuff that, you know, I absolutely loved Eric here, not Eric. Yeah, the other Eric. Is he still here? Yeah. He used to prove for me. I loved him. He was fabulous, but he had to quit it, and that was so sad. But I found another person. But he was wonderful. I didn't have to think about it when I got it back. So it takes time to find those people to get your team. And initially, you're not going to have the money to spend it. But I also think when you're super slammed like that, you have to think in terms of money as well. You have to work smarter, not harder. Time is money. So I can be doing all this. Like, for instance, this is how it works in my circuit. So I have this big, huge trial over here, right? I got this giant trial I need done, and I know it needs to be done. But I also have all these pleas that need to be done. So when I know that as soon as I'm done with these pleas, and they're faster, I can whiz through them. I mean, I can get through with 10, I can probably do 100 pages in, you know, completely done from beginning to end, 3 hours, I guess, something like that. So I get all that done. I can bill that to my county immediately and get paid within 3 or 4 days for it, and then the jury trial is going to take longer. So I'm working on this while she's doing this. You know what I'm saying? Instead of me just trying to do it all and slowing down the process, is keeping the pipeline full. It's figuring out what works for you. But yes, be smart and thoughtful about your time, because you will get burned out if you're not careful, and working 5 days a week is almost impossible. Yes, sir.
Oh.
Huh?
I got a question.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What's your question?
Online question: what are some tips to start out freelancing?
Well, I've done some freelancing. Tips for freelancing. There's a lot of good agencies. So think about, you know, most of them are going to give you 80-20 or 70-30 or 65-35. I've worked for 65-35, not a problem, because they pay on billables, and I get my money every 2 weeks, or the 15th and the 30th. So that's cool. You know, you do the transcript, you make sure it's all nice and proofed, and it's all put together, and you send it to them, and they do all the production. And then I have others that, like I said, are 70-30 or whatever. I'd be more than happy to provide you guys with some names of some agencies, you know, offline, if anyone's interested. So that's, you know, find a good agency, you know, decide what you want. Don't overcommit yourself initially. Don't be like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. I don't want to turn down a job. I don't want to turn down a job. Because you're in that job, and that's all great, but you got to go home and do all that work. Especially depots. Court's a little different, because that's a crapshoot. You may or may not have a transcript to complete, like state court. Chances are you're not, because state court's just misdemeanors, right, or a lot of civil work. So you're just going to get an appearance fee for that. But keep that in mind when you depositions, because that's like a production line, and the clock starts the moment you leave the property after the deposition's done. You know, you have 10 working days. Some are quicker, but generally it's 10 working days to get it out, and you don't like it when you're late. So that's something to think about too. And this is whether you're freelance or whether you're in court. And I can't speak to steno. I can only speak to voice, because that's what I am, but I'm sure it's the same. as far as having really good briefs and really good voice codes. Know your theory, know your software. Don't be afraid to use your software. Eclipse is wonderful. It's all I've known. I mean, I hit the door running. I didn't have a choice. We had Eclipse in school. I started working, just immediately. I just went with what I knew. There's a lot of other really good softwares out there. That's just the one I use because it's what I'm familiar with, and I didn't want to have to reteach myself something. It was too stressful. So, just lots and lots of really good voice codes, anything that's going to make your life easier. So this is something I do. Like when I'm in court, if it's a funny name or financial transaction card fraud, financial transaction card, do you know how hard that is to say? And they're running 225, 230, 50. I have one attorney, I swear to you, my little words per minute, it's just smoke because he's so fast. So I just say yellow. And then I write on my paper, if I'm taking notes, I say yellow equals what that is. So when I go back in and I'm doing my transcript, I Control-G, global it, fixes the whole thing. When you're doing please, guys, please have to be turned in colloquy, but they're too fast. You take them down in Q&A. And you can go in and your software will allow you, and I can show you how to do that, to go in and global and change all those Q&As to the defendant and whoever your speaker one is, whoever your DA is, right? Whoever the state is. And I can show you how to do every bit of that. So it's a way of working smarter, not harder. If you're in a courtroom situation all the time and you have an attorney who says the same thing over and over and over and over, like a plea, I have one voice code and it drops a bunch of stuff. Or if they use the same phrase, you come up with a voice code. Anything that makes your life easier, right? Anything that makes you faster and more efficient and less editing time, and that just comes with practice. So I hope that answered their question and it was helpful. I don't know, maybe. Huh? Sorry.
No, you good.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Did you go the night, day, or online, or?
I was full-time day because, like I said, I was unemployed. And I was, I was very fortunate that I had my severance and my unemployment. And I went full-time for 14 months. And my commute some days was 2 hours one way, depending on traffic. But I was here, and I did it, and I just put my head down, and I got it done, and I plowed through. But I was really fortunate. I took the voice really well. It just fit. I mean, it's like I was born to be a court reporter. It's the craziest thing. I can't imagine ever doing anything else. I sincerely love everything about it. I love the creativity of it, of trying to figure out a way to make something better. I love the fact that I'm in control of my life and my destiny. If I want to take time off and go do something with my kid, if I want to, perfect example, the reason I need coverage for 422 is because my boyfriend and I are going to Aruba for 7 days. And I didn't have to ask anyone's permission. I didn't have to fill out a little form saying, may I take off these days for vacation? I only get a week a year. You know what I mean? None of that. The freedom. Oh my gosh. And I can do this till I die. I'm relevant. I mean, I really can, absolutely. No one's going to say, Niki, you're too old. I can say I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired. But it's up to me. And I love the fact I can drive my ship. This is my ship. I love it.
So basically, they ask you what days, do they work with your schedule?
Well, no, not really. So, no, if my judge has court, I have to be there. And see, that's also an issue because we have a shortage of court reporters. I've been really, and because we don't have court all the time, every day, Monday through Friday, which most courts don't, have been very, very, very fortunate that I have been sick, but I have been really sick on the days I've not had court. Like I was telling Mark, I had laryngitis last year, and I was freaking out because I thought, I can't talk, there was nothing, right? And I had a little bit of a voice. I have laryngitis for like 4, almost 5 days. And on day 5, we went back to court. And fortunately, I had enough left, and, I may have used a backup recorder just in case, to get me by. And I made it through. But I don't know what I would do if I woke up one morning with a stomach virus. I mean, I can't go to work, and there's no one to cover for me. So that's sort of a problem. So when you say, can I tell them when I want to be off? No. I have court on 422. I have to find a court reporter to cover for me on 422. I have a flight leaving on 419. I will figure it out. Something will happen, you know. That's why it really helps to have court reporter friends, and you guys call. I mean, I've been on the phone, emailing, calling, hey, can you do this, can you do that? You know, and we do try to help one another out. It's a small world, and it takes all of us to get it all done, you know. So, yeah. So, no, I serve at the pleasure of the court. Yes, ma'am.
What certifications involved, and when did you start taking your tests in relationship to your school?
Right. Do you mean like my national
CVR? What do you
yes, I'm just a CVR. I'm not real time. I thought about getting my real time, but I'll be honest with you. Pardon? Oh, it doesn't serve me financially at this point, so I haven't done it. But it would be cool to have it. You know, it would be cool to get my real time certification, and I could, you know. And so for me, I think in my mind, I think, okay, at some point, do I want to up level? Again, do I want to up level and be able to offer real time in depositions, right? You know, yes, ma'am.
Have you taken any in other states?
I'm nationally certified. I did mine through the MVRA, so whatever states they accept, I can work in all of those states. I can do that, yeah. There's a list on their website. I have not checked it recently, and I'm sure there's more. I do not think Alabama recognizes voice writing yet. Yeah, there's a few holdouts. I have not. I stay really busy. I'm really busy where I'm at. Sure, of course I would. I think about that if I moved, right? I mean, that's the whole thing. I may not live in Georgia forever. I don't want to start over. I want that to, them to take my certification. But sure I would. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're just the certification of Georgia and the national that you recommend you take in case you do move out of the state, or just the one in Georgia?
Well, let me tell you, this is a funny story about that. And I'm sure at some point we were told in school that we didn't have to take the MVRA, that we could just take the Georgia. But somewhere I didn't get that memo, so I didn't know that was an option, and all I did was take the MVRA. And for Georgia, you have to get certified in Georgia as well, but all that is, they accept the skills portion of the MVRA, the dictation portion, and you just have to take their little written test, which is online. And last time I checked, it's the same answers they've been using forever. So if you have a friend who took it, it's really easy. It's just really easy. But MVRA, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Talking about speeds. Okay, you had the question about speeds. When I was in school, I got into speeds really quickly. I think I moved through all of my speeds in a quarter or maybe a quarter and a half. I mean, I just took to it. Jury charges are great, but I love jury charge. Literary was easy. Q&A, this is funny. When I was in school and I would do Q&A when I first started doing it, I'd find a spot on the wall and I would visualize the Q's and the A's, and I could literally see the words falling on the page. I still do that. I could see them falling, and as they're falling down the page, I would catch myself doing this. It's like I was moving down it made no sense. I was like, sit up, what are you doing? Another secret. I don't know about for you guys, but for me, when the speaker's going really fast, if I close my eyes, they slow down. Because it's as if my hearing becomes more in tune because I'm not distracted by looking at anything. And then I'll also sometimes, like my judge, jury charges are rote. They're always pretty much the same. And I'm really fortunate my judge speaks about 160 words a minute. He doesn't get any faster. He's beautiful. And I can absolutely be writing my grocery list, and I've done this, and take down his jury charge at the same time and never realize that I'm taking his jury charge down. Your brain can learn to do that. I mean, I've done a word puzzle on my phone. When I get bored in court, a lot of places don't let you get your phone out. My judge is pretty cool about it. It's pretty relaxed, and I'll just have my phone there and I'm doing a word puzzle, like a word finder thingy. Or sending a text the same time I'm taking down whatever he's saying. I'm taking down testimony, especially if it's really boring. It almost helps me concentrate more, and my takedown is often better when I'm not so focused on what they're saying, if that makes sense. It's crazy. You'll find your own tricks. But yeah, I got through school, so I started in 2013. I did all that. I went through my speeds, and like in the fall of 2014, maybe the summer, early fall, all I know is that I was testing in September of 2014, and I passed the test. I failed the written the first time. I passed the skills the first time. I was really excited. Failed the written by 2 points. Went back and took it again, passed. Or maybe I took it in July, and then I took the written again in September. That's what it was. And then I went to work in January. So it was fast. Yes, ma'am.
So it took you a little over a year to complete school?
It did.
Okay.
15 months. Honestly, it would have taken me 18. It would have taken me 15 had I not lost that 3 months that summer. You know, but yeah, had I gone straight into voice, I would have done it in 15 months. I know that's not the same for everyone, but
you went full-time days,
I
right?
did.
Okay.
I did. I did go full time. Yeah, I was very fortunate in that I could do that. But you guys just practice at home. I did a lot of practice. Any other hands? Did I see a hand? I don't know. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So do you recommend, because you said right out of school you went to court, do you recommend that right out of school we do freelancing first, or should we go to court first?
Well, okay, so freelancing doesn't just mean depositions. Freelancing simply means you're not an official. That's all it means. You're a free agent. You don't work for one place. That's all that means. So that means you can do depositions. You can do court. And by court, that means you can do juvenile court. Juvenile court is probably a good place to kind of get started, maybe get your feet wet a little, because transcripts are never required, ever. They rarely, I shouldn't say ever, rarely do they order transcripts in juvenile court. So you're going to show up and do your takedown and get your per diem and go home. They can be really short or they can be really long. But if you're worried about pressure, don't. Juvenile's a good place to get started, get your feet wet, get comfortable with being in a courtroom, you know, where everything's at and all that kind of stuff. So, not if you're freelance, it's only a per diem.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about that. So, if you're an official, and I can only speak for myself, but most officialships are going to have a flat salary, you're going to have a salary. And then you're going to have your transcripts that are produced. And every circuit's different, every judge within that circuit's different, every county's different, everyone's different. So every situation's different. But generally how it goes is you, there are certain things your judges or a judge is going to want produced. If you're in superior court, you're going to have probation revocations, bond hearings, felony pleas, things like that, trials, hearings, all these sorts of things. You're going to take those proceedings down, but not all of those are going to require a transcript. Generally, but not always, because there's some circuits that don't require any felony pleas be transcribed. But in my circuit, felony pleas are transcribed. Certain motions, you know, and if the judge wants anything else, then they let me know. Plus all jury trials, if it's a guilty verdict. And misdemeanor guilties are transcribed. Misdemeanor pleas are taken, but they are not transcribed. Misdemeanor pleas are taken generally in bigger counties. My county's tiny, so we do it all together. State court. State court's primarily your misdemeanor stuff. Well, it is all your misdemeanor stuff. I know it's very confusing. That's what I'm saying. You've got court, you've got state superior, you've got criminal civil, and then you've got depositions. Depositions are over here. That's when you go to the attorney's office, you take down your a good place to start with depositions would be work comp, because it's really rote. A lot of car accident cases, they're pretty rote too. You know, with insurance companies, you know, they follow a standard. Usually it's an hour and a half, you're in and you're out. But you're going to go and you're going to get your takedown fee, your per diem for that day, plus if they order the transcript, which they usually do, you produce it. So they're separate, right? So freelance, so with freelance you can do any of that. You just work where you want to work. You go to work for an agency. A lot of agencies don't do court. They only do depot. But if you want to do court, and you can also get the stuff on your own, like Carroll State Court, they need court reporters. Most people don't want to go out that way. Harrelson Juvenile, Polk Juvenile, you know, there's work to be had. We are in demand. There is not enough of us. But if you ever have, and I know it's a lot, and you don't quite grasp it till you're in it, right? There's a lot of moving parts to the billing. There's a lot of, even when, you know, there's a lot of moving parts. So ask another court reporter, call me, ask me, you know, I help you out. Yes, sir, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. A couple of online questions. One, this is going back to your certification mention. Is there a waiting period if you fail the test and have to take it again? How long, if any, is the waiting period?
You just unless it's changed, you just catch the next testing date. That's it.
Okay. And the next
For
one.
the NVRA.
With the NVRA, okay. And then with the next question, what are some things that you were nervous about in the beginning that you later realized wasn't worth stressing over?
Everything.
LOL.
Everything. Oh my gosh, I think not everything. Court was, it's just sitting there thinking, and I had a new judge too. I mean, we were babies, which is, in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't know anything because I was so open and coachable. But just really feeling like I didn't know what I was doing. I'm telling you, I just faked it. I was just like, yeah, sure, I can do that. Absolutely. Yes, and all this kind of stuff. And then as soon as I get in the car, I'm on the phone with my other court reporter friends. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Freaking out. But you just act like, I just acted like I had it together until eventually I did. Now, depositions. Actually finding the building that the deposition is in was terrifying to me. To me, it was a three-part process because I live a long way out, and I've gotten a little better. My boyfriend lives across the street at Atlantic Station, so having him there and staying with him a lot has helped me figure out my way around Atlanta, know where a lot of stuff is. But I wasn't super familiar with the names of the buildings in these locations, and even sometimes I still get a little turned around. But to me, it was a three-part process. Number one, I had to find the building. Number two, I had to find the parking, which is very tricky to me. And then I had to find the attorney's office inside the building and take those express elevators all the way to the top. I don't like elevators, and it was horrible. I'm still not crazy about them. I took a depo one time. This is a funny story. And we were actually deposing, they were deposing one of the partners in the law firm. And I couldn't even I don't even know where I was over here, but we were on like the 50th floor. They had the top two floors really, really nice. And when you come out of the attorney's office, when you leave their doors, it locks you in there at the elevator bank. So I can't go back in and say anything. I'm stuck there. I have to take that elevator down. And I was about to call Samantha, who is my judge's secretary, who's I shouldn't say that, she's his assistant. I mean, she basically does everything for him. And have her talk me down the elevator, because I was terrible. I was sweating. I was just sweating bullets. I do not like elevators. And about that time, the same gentleman that I had deposed, the partner, walks out, and he looks at me. He goes, would you like for me to ride that elevator down with you? I said, would you please? So he rode it all the way down and then went back up. So for me, elevators are freaky. I still don't like them. I had an exit strategy of what I would do if I got stuck in an elevator. I kept my phone out in the event I needed to call 911, and I had an emergency Xanax in my purse, and I'm not lying. And that's what I did forever and ever and ever, because it was to the benefit of everyone if I took that Xanax, if you're stuck in that elevator with me. It was for your benefit as well as mine. So yeah, it was all challenging. Figuring out my time management, and you get so frustrated with yourself when you're editing and you think, I should be faster. It just takes time. But that's where having those really good voice codes and knowing your software is so important too. Yes, ma'am?
I heard you earlier say something about, is it depositions, is it a 10-day turnaround? What's the max turnaround on
Generally, well, it depends. Oh, there you go. So there's a difference there. Depositions are generally 10 working days, and I think you guys are going to have Janice Baker is going to come and speak, isn't she? Or has she already come, or was she going to come?
Well, the videographer from our firm is coming tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So I just, my experience with depositions, unless they want to rush, which those are good money, is a 10-day turnaround. Now that's 10 working days. So if you take a deposition today, it's basically due in 2 weeks from today, right? Which is and all the rates are different. So all of your rates for your depositions, your page rates every agency is different. Now, court is set. The rates for court is set by the Board of Court Reporting. So when you're in court and a transcript is ordered, that's a standard rate. There's no flip flop. It doesn't matter which county it's in, it's all the same. Yes, ma'am.
Was there someone, like when you first started, Was there someone there to say, okay, this is how you do this? You put this here and this here. They normally do that when you're with an agency. They set you up for
They will, yes.
success.
They will, and there's a lot. But I will also say, it was also to my experience, you can't wait for someone to spoon feed you anything in this industry. I can tell you that right now. If you're waiting on someone to spoon feed you anything and say, but you didn't show me how to do this, you are going to be disappointed and you're going to be very frustrated. You must take charge and you must work very well independently and be able to manage yourself. And that means asking questions. That means saying, as you said, okay, can you show me what you would like for me to do for your agency? Because they're all going to be a little different. Now, when you take a deposition on your own, you're going to follow your own sort of format. I mean, there is you're going to have your title page, you're going to have your index, and then your transcript. And if they're reserved signature, then your errata, then your cert, right? So you guys are learning that there's a format. There's also a lot of variables within that depending on your agency. So I guess the one thing you'll learn about court reporting is the whole entire thing is gray. And for someone like me who prefers black and white, it's either or, no. Give it up now. It's just gray. And for me, to save my sanity, I just had to find a way and stick to it, and this is me. But like you said, with a depot, your agency will help you. Court reporter friends, they will help you. They'll give you templates and things. And I learned I liked having examples so I could look at stuff. Like, I didn't know how to put together a trial. I didn't know how to do that. Oh my goodness, my parentheticals, my voir dire. How do I do voir dire? Fortunately, my judge does not require all of voir dire to be taken. It's really predominantly made up of parentheticals. What do those parentheticals look like? Where do I get those? Well, we had this weird situation. What do I say here? That's where you look to older court reporters. You find those mentors. Yes, ma'am.
I think you said you went straight from school to work.
I did.
Okay, so did you do an internship?
I did.
Okay.
I did that prior. I was in the last quarter or two. I forget, when do we do? I don't remember. So I did, and got the externship done and had it all done. But yeah, I hit it was unusual, but I was very blessed. I was very, very, very blessed that I was able to. A little funny side note. So when my judge was an attorney, he was my divorce attorney. So that's kind of funny. That's when you know you're from a small town. When the man who you currently work for was your divorce attorney and did your divorce. So, yeah. I mean, it just so happened to work that way. Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. Let's see. We have someone wants to know if you can share a couple of your best voice codes.
Oh, okay. Well, depends on what you want. Pardon? Email. Well, what do you need? Like what? It depends. So that's the hard thing about school. Like in school, you're going to have your basics. You're going to have your Keek and I use Keek and CAC for Q&A. Seed code for proceedings at the top. Clued for concluding at the bottom. Legent. I use that. Legent. Memger for members of the jury. What else? There's some yakadid, yakadoo, yes I did, yes I did. Oh, this is a good one, and I made this one up. You're going to hear this a billion times. Do you understand? Dewski. Dewski. D-E-W-S-K-Y. Dewski. Do you understand? Dewski. I say that 15 billion times. Dewski, Dewski, Dewski. When you're taking down a plea, they have a series of questions as well. What's your date of birth? Birthski. Are you currently under the influence of any drugs or alcohol? Drugski. Do you speak? Can you read, write, and understand the English language? Langski. I could do a plea in my sleep. I hear these all day long. So those are just some basic ones. Yes, ma'am.
What about the conflicting words? Do you ever get those taken care of?
Oh, I still have trouble. Let me tell you. At some point during school, ka quit working for me for comma. I kept getting cop. Ka. I know I'm Southern, but good Lord, So I say comma.
Because I just had a transcript, and I promise you I was writing. I actually did well on it, but I had to clean up. The one word that was left was male. and they kept saying M-A-L-E, which I knew it was, but they kept putting it out as mail, like you're handing someone mail.
I have that too. And I tell you something else the software will do, and I'm due for an upgrade, and I haven't upgraded. It's on my very long list of things I need to do. And you'll also find as a court reporter, you say to yourself, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this. But you can't stop long enough to do this or do this. But it's so imperative. Like, I need a new voice, I need a new profile so badly right now, so desperately. And I'm hopefully going to get to that tomorrow. We'll see. But my point being, yes, you're right. I still have that issue as well, and I just go here and here. It's just where it gives you the conflict. I'm probably not the best to give you advice on that because I still have difficulty. I don't know that you ever completely get rid of it. I'll tell you something else that Eclipse does. When I say he or you, sometimes I'll say he and it gives me you, and I have to select the conflict. I clearly said he, but I get you. I don't know. Yes?
All right. And we have a few minutes before you guys have to get to class, but one last question from online. Do you have a voice code for district attorney?
You can make one up. Just make it up. Let's see, district attorney. Just whatever works for you. Call it a color, purple. Just something that your software is going to give you. You know what I mean? Call it Z-ski. I don't know if he's just, anything that you can remember that makes sense for you. Like, I have this whole thing that one of my DAs does, and this blurb he does, and I couldn't come up with a good word for it, so I said purple. It works.
I got one last one. I don't mean the whole but I just, because with the conflicting words, I thought, because when something's said in a sentence, like you said, I can't hear you, and you wrote it, I can't hear you, I thought that the sentence would take it down.
No.
Depending upon the fact that the way it was said in that sentence.
Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. I still have to correct that. I mean, I think there's a way that you should probably ask your Eclipse teacher. Ask them, because there's a way that you can, there's a way that you can correct that, and, to make it with the artificial intelligence. And I think analyzing documents, and I will tell you I'm the world's worst about analyzing documents, so don't do it. And I probably really should, but I don't. What else don't I do that you should? I don't know. Lots of stuff, I'm sure. I probably could use a refresher, actually. I tell you what I did, and I don't know if they're still up, but there was a ton of slides and things that were put up by Chris that taught Eclipse. Wasn't he with Colorado? He taught my Eclipse, and he put up a whole bunch of slides and stuff, and they were on the Brown College website for a long time. I downloaded every bit of that, and I've got binders at my house. The Facebook groups. They will be your best friend. The court reporting Facebook, the Eclipse Facebook group, and there's one for Vox as well. Go on there. There's so much information. They have so much stuff. They have tons and tons and tons of things. I learn something every day. I was trying to think something else that could. Oh, funny thing. Talking about analyzing documents. I was in court the other day. This has happened before. All of a sudden, my DA, Miss Amendola, her name would not come down. I've been saying Amendola forever. I don't know. Maybe Eclipse was tired. It was day 5. We were all tired. I was exhausted. I was like, you're really going to do another trial? Oh, my God. But we did. So anyway, you can make a document, a Word document, a text document, and you have like a whole bunch of words in there, but every other word is going to be, you're going to say SPE1 and dog, and SPE1 and cat, and SPE1 and this. You're going to make this whole document, and then you're going to go in and find and replace the word that's not coming up for you. In my case, it was Miss Amendola. Then in the middle of court, in the middle of takedown, I analyzed that document through. All of a sudden, lo and behold, Miss Amendola starts coming up. You can do that to help your recognition. I learned that trick from Mary. And I don't know where she got it from, but I have those on my computer, and every time I do it, I think of Mary. Yeah. So I feel like I have not really answered a lot of questions, and I do not feel like I have been very helpful. Do you guys have anything else? Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
What happens when you're in the middle of takedown and you have an equipment malfunction?
Which I had on Friday. 2 things. You can stop proceedings and say, and I have, and say, pardon me, I'm having an equipment I'm having, you know, a technical difficulty at the moment. Can we stop? And then you take care of it. Or I was in the middle of court the other day, Friday, and like I said, she was tired. She was like, I'm done. And my computer just stopped taking down. I have a backup recorder in the event, just because I'm so paranoid. And so I knew that my backup recorder was taking it. And I will tell you this too. A lot of times when that happens and you stop dropping, your room audio is still recording. The only thing that sometimes can happen, and Fernand can probably tell you this, is that then when you go to close your file and save it, you may or may not lose that up to that point. It just depends. But you have that backup digital recorder, and you can just keep going on like you know what you're doing and keep rolling with it, and then get back up and going and go. I don't know that that's probably the smartest thing to do, but I have done both. I have stopped the proceedings, and I have also just kept trucking. We can do this on that. Yes, ma'am.
Can you share your information with us so when we graduate or when we're at the point where we're ready
Absolutely.
to get a mentor?
And I would love to have you guys.
You can email it? Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's online people that want it too, so.
Do you want to give it to them, Mark, or how do we want to do it? Yeah, I have no problem. Most people don't want to come all the way out my way, but I actually think it's probably a pretty good place to do your externship because it's smaller. I feel like it's a good place, you know, and you're going to see you're going to see everything there that you see here. I have a death penalty trial that we're going to be, I don't know if you guys saw it on television about the gentleman in Rockmart in Polk County that killed 4 people. We got that trial. We have that case. They extradited him and brought him back, and he had first appearance yesterday, and that's all I can say about that. Or Friday. So, anything else?
How far is it?
Thanks, an hour. Look it up.
Okay.
Look up Haralson County and post.
Let's go. Oh my gosh.
She lives in the middle of nowhere, and you would be right.